What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Guys, today we're going to talk about how investors are picking up all these properties. And this video is really targeted towards the average person that's not really in real estate yet. Maybe they want to get into investing and they just don't understand it. They see these people on social media, I have 15 doors, I have 20 doors, and it just seems so far out of reach. So I'm going to kind of give you some of the inside scoop of what it really takes and what these people are doing and how they're leveraging it. So first thing is first, they actually are probably a trust fund baby. Okay, they're getting all of their funds from their daddy or mommy to purchase these properties, which is helping them buy. No, I'm just kidding. That's actually not what's happening, okay? So maybe there is that. That's a small piece of it. But I will tell you, these are people that are working their asses off and they've made the connections. They already have established businesses. So the part that I think is BS online is when they talk about, not having any sort of business or income and just starting to go buy a gazillion doors. That is a recipe, in my opinion, for disaster. I have about 30 doors right now, and I can tell you that I have problems that pop up all the time. And I'll go a little bit into that about how I could have avoided those problems. So stay further into the video so I can show you a little bit about that. But I could have avoided all those problems, which is what we're doing right here. So no, they're not all trust fund babies. What they are doing is they've established relationships and businesses, like I've said. They're doing financing called private money or hard money, and they're doing value add. So what does this mean exactly, right? Because these are just words on a board, and it's like, doesn't make any sense if you've never done this. There's people out there that are wholesalers, and they're buying properties, or you could even go door knock on these properties, that are dilapidated. These are properties that are not in good condition. Okay, they are beat up many times. They're not in a good spot. And nobody in their right mind, like if you're a first-time home buyer, you're not going to go to this property to buy it. So these wholesalers actually are doing a service for the community that they're in, because they're going to these homeowners and they're saying, look, this property, and we'll go into this, it's going to take $100,000 of rehab. They're going to have to rip everything out. We're going to have to fix a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to offer you this price for it. And then that wholesaler, they may be an investor too, and they may take that property down themselves, or they'll assign it to an investor like myself who will help buy these properties, rehabilitate them, help raise the value of the whole community, and put these properties back in a good spot. So what we will do is we will get private money or hard money in value add. I know I said that. And then we'll find the dilapidated properties. So I'm going to use the Clovis triplex project that I have going on for an example right now. This property, I know maybe you're in a different area, you don't know much about this area, but Clovis is a very good spot. So the rents are going to be higher than I would normally get in a place like Fresno. All right. So I purchased this property for $295,000. It was a great deal. It's a single family in the front and it's a duplex in the back. The downside, property needs about $100,000 of work, maybe closer to $80 to $90, $70,000 worth of work, maybe 60. We'll see what happens at the end. But it needs a lot of work. And it needs electrical. It needs a new roof in the back. It needs new water heaters. It needs new air conditioning in the back. We have to rip out the walls. There's mold on the ceiling. It needs new showers. So there's a good, I believe that I'm doing a good service buying this property and actually fixing it up and adding value to the community to do so. But that's how we can lock it up, because we're locking it up for $295,000 from the wholesaler, which, by the way, I'll talk a little bit about relationships. How do I meet wholesalers? How do I get in their book of business to start working with them? And then I put $100,000 into the property, whatever it is. And when that property's all done, that property's worth between $625,000 to $650,000. I actually spoke to an appraiser about this in detail because I was a little bit like, okay, what is this property going to be worth? A triplex in Clovis is worth a lot. And it may actually be worth more than that. We'll see what happens on the final appraisal number, but that's a rough idea. Now, this is where the private money comes into play. This is how they're doing it, because that's the main question here, right? How are investors picking up all these properties? AKA, how are they buying them? Are they using their own cash? Most of them are not using their own cash, including myself. So we're actually going here, we're getting a private money loan. So what is a private money loan? What does that mean? A private money loan is basically me going to my mentor or my business partner or somebody that I know and saying, hey, and this is a risk for them, right? But I'm saying, hey, you're going to lend me, or I'm going to ask you to lend me $400,000. You're going to tie a lien to this property. After the work is done, the property is worth $625,000 to $650,000. It took me time to build these relationships. It didn't just happen where, he was open to lending me all of the rehab and all of the purchase price right at the beginning. I had to earn my stripes, so to say, right? I had to put 10% down on my first project and come out of rehab myself. I had to put 10% down again and come out of rehab. And then I got to the point where it's like, okay, hey, I'll fund you 100% of the purchase price, but I'm not going to do your rehab. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of the rehab, right? These are relationships that you develop with people. And where are they winning? Well, they're winning because oftentimes, it's anywhere from 10 to 12%. I like paying my private money investors a good amount because they're helping me out. And honestly, as long as the numbers work, I don't really care where the interest is, as long as it's not too crazy. But he's making 12% in 2 points. So if he's lending me $400,000, he's making $8,000 off of the rip, okay? Just right there, just by lending me the money on that deal. And then he's collecting 12% interest month over month on a year-long note, collecting about $4,000 a month, okay? So this is where the private money investors are winning and why they would want to lend their money. Because it's like, why would somebody lend you money? Well, they're winning on it, okay? And the cool part is this. They're tied to an asset. They are tied to a property. So guess what? If shit hits the fan, guess what they get to do? They just take back the property, right? Now, again, you have to establish this relationship because if they're lending you rehab funds, that's a little scary for them if they don't know you or trust you yet because they could lose out on that rehab piece, right? But when you've done a bunch of deals and you've shown that you're high integrity and you're going to get shit done, you're going to be in a spot where you can ask people for that type of loan, okay? So we're going to do all that. And what's going to happen is, and this is ballpark, it's actually probably going to be less than this, but I'm kind of ballparking this because I don't want to overwhelm you guys with too many numbers being first-time investor or looking into this. But PITI, principal, interest, taxes, insurance, is going to be around $3,500 a month on this property. Okay, so every single month I'll have a payment for $3,500 a month. But the rent on this, pretty conservatively, I think I possibly could get more, we'll see. In total is going to be about $5,550. The single family is obviously going to bring in the most rent, and the duplexes in the back are going to bring a good amount of rent. But we have to account for a few things here, guys. We can't just look at rent to mortgage, subtract it, and be like, that's my cash flow. Because I promise you, it never works like that. I have a property manager personally. I know a lot of people don't have a property manager. I like a property manager. I have a mortgage business that I run. It'd be a lot of work to do it all. It already is a lot of work, even with a property manager. But he charges me 7%, okay? And so that's about $388 a month on this. We got to factor in a 5% vacancy. So, people leaving, things of that nature. I just put 5%. 5% is probably maybe a little aggressive, but it gives you a good idea. And then maintenance, $350. And then when you subtract all that, you get a cash flow of $1,034. And it's like, why would I do all this for $1,034? Well, the key is I'm not using my own money. I just picked up an asset. I value added $200,000 to $250,000 into the asset. So I instantly get that much equity that I can go sell this project. And then I get instant cash flow, right? And so now we start stacking doors, we start adding to our portfolio, and guess what? If one property is having a problem, this property over here helps cover it. Now, let's talk a little bit about the work I'm doing on this property and why it's so important and how I learned things the hard way, all right? So, being a newbie investor, I thought it'd be a good idea just to put lipstick on a pig. I ain't gonna lie, I did it. And I did a bunch of property, maybe like 3, 4, 5 properties. And I said, hey, just paint the walls, do this. Let's get it rent ready. But I didn't look at the inner details. And I think a lot of investors pass up on this. They don't want to pay the extra money to do it. But for me personally, I'm going to own these things for 20, 30 years. I'm probably not going to sell them. I want to make sure things are right. And that's including the big capital expenditures, the things that eat you up. If you have multiple properties, I promise you, and the ACs are bad or the electrical's bad, and it hits you at once, you're going to be crying. You better hope that you have a good business or a good income to help that, because the $1,000 in cash flow ain't going to freaking help that. All right? So what I look at is electrical. I look at the roof. I look at the water heaters, I look at the plumbing, I look at the ACs, I look at all of the big capital expenditures. And so on this Clovis project, we're replacing all the electrical. Is it going to cost me an extra $15,000 to do it? Yes, it is. But it's worth it because I'm not going to have to worry about it in the long run. The duplex in the back, we are doing a brand new roof. We're doing everything fully permitted, everything on the up and up, so I don't have any issues down the road, okay? So when you put a good property together and you're not just trying to throw fucking lipstick on a pig and just get as many doors as you can and you really take pride in owning these properties, guess what? It's gonna be a better investment long term. That brings me to the maintenance piece. Of course, there's gonna be some maintenance that pops up, but when you do brand new everything, brand new electrical, brand new ACs, brand new roof, brand new plumbing, everything's brand new, guess what? Your maintenance costs are gonna go way down because the property is basically brand new, okay? So this is how investors are picking up all these properties. And I had 5 projects going. We closed out 2 of them. The third one's gonna be done on Friday. And then we got 2 more big projects that we're finishing up, and I'll be happy to have them all done. And this is what people are doing. And you develop these relationships in the industry. You shake a lot of hands. You take care of people. You put people first. And people want to help each other out. That's the cool thing about real estate investing is when you get in the industry, everybody's trying to help each other out. It's not like in the mortgage industry, I feel like it's very competitive. And people are very and it shouldn't be this way, but people are very oh, there's not enough, right? There's not the abundance mindset. And there is an abundance, but there's just not that mindset. Real estate investing, everybody's helping each other out, all right? So for me personally, before I got into doing this, I would want to make sure that I have liquid reserves. I want to make sure that I'm good on my job. I want to make sure that my business is prosperous and everything's going well. I'm just more conservative in that way. I don't really feel comfortable with leveraging everything. Some people are cool with that and they absolutely crush it and they scale to the next level. That's just not me. I hope this video gives you a rough idea of how it all works. And if you have any questions on it, feel free to let me know. If you felt this video was valuable, just subscribe. We're gonna be doing a lot of videos like this, mortgage related, real estate investing related. And I'm an open book, guys. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm more than happy to jump on a call and give you free advice on this. I ain't gonna charge you. I'm just here to help. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video.